Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Microsoft Teams Files Edition. We are going to be covering how to use files today, how to search for files, how to create, edit files, folders, organization of files, and a little bit about how Linear Tech is planning to utilize the file structures within Microsoft Teams. So to begin there, I'm going to start off by doing what I like to do in all of my different Microsoft Team classes with giving a 5-minute overview on what we intend. Excuse me, guys, I am really stopped up today, so I apologize if I sound that way. But what we intend Microsoft Teams to be used for. As I mentioned in the intro class, Microsoft Teams is kind of a looking glass program, so it lets you see into tons of other Microsoft programs, and it brings together a lot of different functionality from chat to group emails, to file storage, to video calls and meetings with internal folks and external folks, just like WebEx does, calendars, and tons of different things. So this is honestly is probably the best program, in my opinion, that Microsoft has put out, and they've done an excellent job, and they continue to make it better as we move forward with it. We talked very briefly in the beginning, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the intro, but I know I've mentioned since that there are basically the team is meant to be a place where everybody in the team can share information either through email or through chat or through files, calendars, that type of thing. And we have 3 different ways that we form teams. One way is based on organizational structure, and that's the primary way that we have implemented teams so far. So if you see the LTCIT team, that's created for everybody who reports to me. The sysadmin teams is my first level reporters. Those are the guys with additional access. The cabinet is obviously the vice presidents and the president. All team members is all employees that are here at the college. So all of those teams are based on your position at the college and the organizational structure within that. So it's basically just to get an area of the college encased into a team so that those folks can collaborate. We have another way we do that, and that is based on ad hoc functionality. So we have the function of the live chat that's used on our webpage to talk to students, and there are folks in there from across multiple departments of the college, and so they're organizationally, there's not really a way to say these are the people that need to be in this team, and so there is a team owner, and that team owner can assign people to the teams. The third thing we have is committee-based. And so it's very similar to the other one because it's got people from across the college, but typically a formal committee will be, the membership will be assigned out of the president's office. So more than likely Karen Miner, once we start implementing those formally, will be the one that actually puts those people in those teams. And so that's really the 3 different types of things that we have inside those teams. When we talk specifically about files, just as a real quick overview, Millie, back up 2 steps. Inside your team, you have your channels over here, general and announcements that are standard channels, posts, which is where your chats go. This is the all team members team. So all employees are in this team, and we don't have conversations that are allowed. So you guys won't be able to actually talk in here because the entire college doesn't need to. That's like reply all to all team members. We really don't want to do that just from a normal standpoint. We want everybody to see all that messaging going back and forth. And then you have the files tab. So post tab is where all your chats live. Files tab is where all of your files live. You also have a ton of other things you can do inside a team, which we won't cover today. Of course, we're going to focus on files, but I did want to talk about what the background of files is as we move into this. So one of the things you're going to notice in various places, and we'll talk about how to use this to great effect, is you've got an open in SharePoint option inside Microsoft Teams, and that is because the actual file storage is Microsoft Teams. Remember, Teams is a looking glass. It's not a program that does all this stuff itself. It links into the online cloud version of SharePoint and says that's where all the files are going to live. It links into Microsoft Streams, which is their basically Microsoft's equivalent to YouTube, and says this is where all of your live streaming video capabilities are going to come from, including Microsoft Teams meetings and calls and all that kind of stuff. It links into the Office 365 products. That's where you've got your calendaring that comes from. It's where you have the abilities to do the group emails. and different things like that. So it literally just goes out and brings different Microsoft products together into one place to make them easier to use. So the piece that's behind the file structure, which is really what we're focusing on today, is SharePoint. So don't confuse that with our local copy of SharePoint. That is a very, very different thing. And our goal here is to move everything off of our old SharePoint servers into Microsoft Teams. So hopefully today will help you guys learn how we're going to go about doing that. Now, in here, we have the all team members team. Remember, and I'm going to stress this over and over and over and over again, probably in every single Teams training I have, whether it's files related or not, everything that goes into a team is visible by all the team members. So if something is put into, if you have access to add something to a team, everybody else in the team is going to be able to see it. If there is a case where you have something that, well, only some of the people need to see it, it probably does not need to go into the team. Maybe we need to create a new team. You can contact the help desk to do that. You can't do that on your own, but just send us what you would think the team name should be possibly and the purpose of the team, and we can create that team for you. And then you can control who is on that team if that's the way it should work. But everything that goes into a team is viewable by the team, not always changeable. And I wanted to point that out here. Inside all team members, if you guys look at your listing here, you're probably going to see a little icon. It's going to look like a pencil with, I think, a circle and a line through it, if I remember correctly. And that's going to mean you don't have write access to that area. So you won't be able to change or add any documents that are there, but you can see them all. And again, I'm going to reiterate that if you put something into a team, it is visible to everyone in that team. If something goes into all team members, every single employee at the college can see every single document that's in here. One of the things that's very important when it comes to files and storing files is organization. And every single person I've ever met has a very different way of organizing files. I have a very unique way to organize files. Everybody else in my department has their own unique way to organize files. Look at any two of my documents folders on any computer, and they're not going to be the same. So how do we overcome that in a team like all team members, where you know there's going to be forms out there that you need to have access to? There's going to be things that you need to be able to get to. How do we overcome that issue and allow people to be able to find the things that they need to be able to find in a much easier way? And so our goal here, we're not there yet, so please don't think we are. We don't even have that much stuff out here yet. I know Institutional Effectiveness has been working very hard to get all their documentation out here. But to do this is through a wiki page. Basically, it's a web page that will exist within Teams and link to the documentation. So we're separating out the presentation layer from the actual storage layer. So the storage will be handled by the people that are responsible for the documents. So if it's IT documentation, IT will handle that. If it's institutional effectiveness documentation, institutional effectiveness will handle that. But if there is a place that, you know, the general college as a whole needs to be able to get to the documentation, HR is probably the perfect example. HR will handle the storage of their documentation, but the presentation will be handled through a wiki page that could look very much like this. So we've got useful links, and we can have multiple sections that are over here on the left-hand side. This little thing with, if you haven't heard this before, this is hilarious. It's called a hamburger, this little menu link up there. So you can, if it doesn't show up for you when you go in there, you click the little hamburger to open it up. You can browse through here, find all kinds of links, and this is what Howard was asking about. The sessions from the chats and calls are posted, and the one session from last night is posted. And I don't know if our session today will be ready for posting before we leave. If it is, I will most certainly try to get that posted up here. Tons of other training stuff here. You guys, this is a lot easier to look at and find stuff than this, because you have no idea. If you go inside a folder, you can see the number of folders that Institutional Effectiveness has. This is Brad and Joanne's way of thinking. It works really well for them. Very, very happy for them. My brain doesn't work the same way theirs works. My brain doesn't work the same way anybody's works. All brains work a little differently. And so what we want to do is come up with a different way to present the information to you. So if you need to go look for the standard IT equipment purchasing information, what we can do is say, well, go to all team members. It probably won't be called useful links, but in this case, go to the useful links tab and click on the link for standard IT equipment pricing. And that's a lot easier than having to go to Files, go to Information Technology, and then did he say Equipment Ordering or Technology Standards? I don't remember which, and this doesn't really make sense to me. Those sound like the same thing. Is it Ordering? That's a Word document. Does that have? No, this doesn't have the pricing in it. As you can see, it's a lot easier if you guys can see this, and that way it's easier to find. So I'm going to pause right there. Let me ask, because that's a big point here with this, is that SharePoint is our backdrop, and the organization is handled by the people that own the documents typically. And then especially when it comes to all team members, we're going to have a separate presentation layer. So do we have any questions about that specific piece? And guys, I cannot see the chat well right now, but I think it would come up over here if you guys chatted anything. So don't hear any questions. Good. Awesome.
Anthony, right, I do have
moving forward then. Let's go to a test team. So we're not working with any real teams here. And you can see we had some fun in the chat a while back. Files are really easy to work with in Microsoft Teams. At first, it took a little while to get used to, and if this is your first time really working with files, there is a little bit of a learning curve. It's not bad, but it is a different paradigm, very different way to think about files when it comes to modification and changing things. The actual structure should look very familiar to you. It's folders with inside and files inside of those, that type thing. So underneath the New button here, we have the option to immediately, without having to open up Microsoft Word or anything like that, to create Word, all the Office documents, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and you can actually do forms in here, though I would most certainly not recommend it at this point. So we're going to create a folder, and I'm going to call this Test 2. All I did was click on folder, and there it is. And you can see that it's there here for us, and it was created a few seconds ago by me. Of course, we got the folder test that was created last night. I can open that folder by clicking on the name of it, and of course it is empty. And if I wanted to create another folder, nested folders are very easy to do here. Create another folder, we'll call this, I can also call it Test 2, as long as it's not, you can't have two folders obviously the same name in the same list, but if it's inside of another folder, you can call it the same name. It doesn't have to be named any differently. And then if I wanted to create a document in here, say a Word document, this is a test. It's going to immediately open it up. You'll notice this Microsoft Word did not open up on my computer. This opened up inside Microsoft Teams. Again, Teams is bringing together all those things so that you don't have to go out of Teams into multiple places to find the application or to access the information that you need to access. So I'm here, and while we're not talking about the application really here, I will give you a brief 30-second overview here. Once you're inside Microsoft Word or Excel or PowerPoint here, you're going to find probably 80 to 90% of the functionality of the desktop client, and they're constantly adding to that. But should you find a need to, oh, well, I know there's this one advanced tool that I use in Excel and it's not there, or in Word, they all have an open and desktop app. And so if I click that, it's going to, you can't see that because it's opening up over here, but just open that up on my computer. Very, very simple, not a big deal. I can close that out. And if I want to continue here, I can do that, or I can close this and it closes out the document. Of course, it knows that I've closed it out on my local machine and reopens it. Another thing that's important, and this one is one of the neat things that I can talk to you guys about, and that is being able to have multiple people editing the document at the same time. Click on the three ellipses here, or the ellipses, and if you use Open in SharePoint, remember I mentioned SharePoint is the actual backing for the file, so that's where the files are. If I click Open in SharePoint, you're going to see that this opens up in SharePoint, and I am able to open this document inside SharePoint. So this is SharePoint itself, which is raw files. Microsoft Teams is not taking place in any of this right now, though any changes I make will also be saved into Microsoft Teams. So if there were multiple folks in here editing, you would be able to see that, or I could watch someone edit in real time. So they'd see my cursor move, they'd see when I typed, all that type of thing. So this can be a very useful thing. Just note that right here, you can tell you're in Microsoft Word. So when I close this, there's no need to hit save. It automatically saves. And here you might think, oh, I'm inside a team. No, you're on SharePoint. I'm in a web browser and I am on SharePoint, so I can close that out. Now I'm back in Microsoft Teams. As you can see, I am in the team. You can see the channels over here on the left and my tabs up top. We may have a question here. Let me see. Yes, you most certainly can move things to a new folder. That was actually my next step here. So we're back here on files, and let's say that this document I just created, oops, I really wanted that inside the test2 folder that's already nested inside a folder called test2. Here is how you move the document. It's not a right-click cut or right-click copy paste. It's very, like I said, the way you move things around is a little different here. So I'm going to move it, or I could copy it. So in this case, we're saying, oh, we put it in the wrong folder, so we want to actually move it to another folder. I'm going to click move. It's going to give me a dialog here. Where do I want to move it to? I can click there. I'm inside general test2. I can simply click move, and it actually will move that file. Oh, but wait, that's not really where I wanted it. Let's move it somewhere else. So I'm going to click move, and I'm going to keep going up. And now there's the team name. And oh, does this look familiar to anybody? General, new test channel name, test. See, these are the channels that exist on the left-hand side over here. So let's say I actually wanted it in the test channel. I can move it over there. And so the document leaves here. If I go to the test channel, click on files, guess what? There is this is a test. Now let's say that I really need this in a different team. I forgot that I was in team Y when I really wanted to put this document into team X. That's easy enough to do as well. Just continue up. There's the team that I'm currently in, but I have an arrow to go up again. So now I have a listing of all the teams that I have access to, and I can simply click on one of those teams and pick the channel and then pick the folders inside there in order to move that document. Copy works in the exact same way. So if I needed to make a copy of that document, by default, it's going to leave it in the same folder that I'm currently in. I hit copy. It's going to say, oh, this file already exists. What do I want to do? I'm going to keep both. And in just a second, we will see, we may have to do a refresh. That's a good time for us to introduce that up here at the top where it says reload tab. It just put a 1 in there so it knows, so I know that this one is the copy. There's my original, 3 minutes ago edited. The one I just copied a few seconds ago is test 1. Oh, but now I don't want that document. Oh, hang on, we have a chat question here. Ah, yes, those 3 dots are extremely, extremely helpful. Let me see if I can pop out that. I don't know if I can pop this team out or not from here. No? Okay, that's fine. So if I want to, I didn't mean to make a copy there. I meant to copy it somewhere else. I can delete that document. Again, the ellipses there are your friend. And now it deletes it. It does actually put it into a recycle bin for the team. So the owner can go back and restore that out of the recycle bin. You have to open up SharePoint to do that. We're not going to cover that right now. But if you do accidentally delete something, please let us know. We're more than happy to assist getting that recovered and do some additional training. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with too much SharePoint stuff when this is really about working within Microsoft Teams. I can open up all kinds of Word documents. Oh, I didn't give that long enough there for you guys to be able to see that. I can see this text file. I can do a conversation about this file like we talked a little bit about in our intro. The only files I can edit really in place are Microsoft Office files. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, which honestly is most of the files that we do. You can view PDFs. So if you can actually upload any file that you want to into Microsoft Teams in the files area. There is no limitation on what types of files you can upload, but you cannot edit anything except for those that come from Microsoft Office products. You can view pictures, you can view PDFs. I believe those are the 2 main things that you can view, but you can edit those things that fall within the Microsoft Office suite. Now, if I want to upload documents, And here's this is a little tricky, and I am going to cover this because when you guys start actually using Microsoft Teams a bit more, you're going to want to upload things into it. So when I get ready to upload something into here, if it's just a onesie twosie kind of thing, you got a handful of files, you're absolutely fine to use the upload button. And if it's a whole folder, use that, or a certain number of files. So if I just wanted to upload, say, this one graphic, one image, you're going to see that shows up here now. And just to prove to you guys that you can actually preview images, this was the placeholder for breaks during when we streamed online graduation. So now that I've uploaded that one document, I can upload more. Again, a whole file or folder, and you simply browse to wherever those documents are and upload them. Do not use this as a repository for your personal My Documents folders. I've stressed this again. The team files area is for Teams documents, so documents that the entire team need access to. If people have needed access to the stuff that's in your My Documents forever, but you've never been able to give it to them, and now you've contacted the help desk, you got the team created, and you got the people in there, upload to their heart's content. But don't use this as personal file storage. OneDrive is for that, and that's a different training series altogether. And you shouldn't have to upload to OneDrive. That should be an automatic thing if you're using an LTC computer. If you're not, of course, it is a manual thing, but for all LTC computers, it should be an automatic upload to OneDrive. And again, that's an entirely different training session, and we'll cover that at a later point. Now, there is one glitch in the upload, and this is the part that makes this sound a little more complicated. If you want to upload a very large number of documents, and I don't remember exactly what the number is, but you want to upload hundreds of documents all at one time. And we discovered this when we were working with Institutional Effectiveness, because obviously they have a very large amount of documentation. And so when they got ready to upload, we were getting problems. So if you have a large number of documents, you're actually going to need to go to wherever you want to upload them. Let's say we wanted them underneath test 1. Click open in SharePoint. It's going to open up a new window and use upload from here. It looks almost exactly the same, y'all, but it does not act the same. So when I upload here, I could upload very large numbers of documents all at the same time. And I do believe Teams will fix this. I don't really know that they think of it as a bug. I think they have just not introduced all the functionality yet as they're rolling this product out and continuing to improve it. When you are looking at files, now that we've done upload, I want to show you guys about some of the ways you can make files look. And the All Team Members team is a great place to do that because we do have a fairly decent number of folders here. You have the option over here on the right-hand side to change your view. These guys down here, don't worry about that. That's really not useful at this point. But these top 3 could be very useful to you. So the list is what you see here. It's the standard list. Doesn't look any different than anything you're probably used to. Compact list just simply makes the distance between each of those lines a little smaller, and I believe it removes the highlighted lines for you to be able to see the difference. It just makes a little more room on the screen, basically. If you've got a mouse that's glitchy or something like that, which if you do, please let us know. But if you do have some sort of an issue with a mouse or have a hard time clicking on certain things, it might be easier if they're in regular list format and a little bit further apart. But you can see I've got those nice little lines between each of the items there when I'm in regular list mode, and that goes away if I'm in compact mode, and it takes up less real estate space on my screen. Then there's also the tiles mode. Some people prefer this. Just shows you, looks like file folders, because they are folders, and you can have that. Now it will reset for each individual folder, which can be very frustrating sometimes if you prefer tiles for everything, but you can certainly just continue to reset that as you go through. So any questions on uploading files, the difference between uploading here within Teams versus using the SharePoint upload? Again, they are the exact same files in the exact same place. So if you edit a file, if you forget and you click open in SharePoint and you edit a file, those edits are here inside Teams. They're not copies of the files in 2 different places. It's literally like looking through different windows into the same room. All right, very good then. So if you have a folder or a file and you want to tell someone else where it is to make it easy for them to find it. Now remember, you can't control access to it. You cannot share things out of here with people that are not already part of the team. If somebody needs to be added to a team, please let us know. But let's say that you need to tell people, oh, well, yeah, inside this team, we've got a fairly large number of files and folders, and I'm going to send you a link to get directly to the folder that you need to have. I need you to look at something in or upload something to. So you could simply click copy link. And when you do copy link, you can just hit copy. You're inside. It's going to give them a Microsoft Teams link. They click it. Teams will open up. If it's already open, it'll just change over to that folder, and they'll be exactly where you needed them to be. So that's a very easy and quick way to help people get to a specific spot. If they're going to have a lot of files to upload, like we talked about, maybe they have hundreds of files, you're like, I need you to upload all that stuff into this folder for me. You could send them the SharePoint link and they would go directly to that folder and be able to upload that documentation for you. Again, those two are the same things. They're just looking at it through different windows, through the SharePoint interface versus the Microsoft Teams interface. The data is actually the exact same data. It's not a copy of the data. It's the same stuff. You can do some neat stuff. You pin the top, that kind of thing. Rename can be up here if you've clicked a folder or a file right here, or you can use the 3 ellipses and there's the rename. That's just like you would expect it to be. Just change the name and hit save, and it changes the name. So you can see now, even though I can't move the whole thing over. You might be used to that in your regular Windows Explorer, but I can mouse over and it'll give me a little pop-up thing that'll show me the entire name of the file. You can move multiple files. So I think we have multiple files down here in the test channel. So let's say all these were in the wrong place. Now you know I can either download, which we'll talk about that in just a second. I can delete, which we've talked about already, move or copy. So I can do that to all of these. You do have a select all, so you can select all and then deselect one, or you can do just a select all and move everything or copy everything. And if you use these links up top, it's the exact same interface as you do when you use the ellipses. To download a file, simply click on the file here and click download there, or the 3 ellipses and download. The copy link here is also the same as the copy link that's up top. No difference to it whatsoever. Why would you ever want to download a file if you can edit it right there inside the team? Maybe you're going to go somewhere that doesn't have any internet access and you want to download a copy of that file to be able to work on it, and then you're going to re-upload. Keep in mind, though, any changes that are made to that file while you have a downloaded copy, when you upload, you're going to overwrite those changes. So just be aware of that. If you're doing it live within Microsoft Teams, nobody else can edit the document on top of you unless, like we talked about, if you've got the document here and you open it in SharePoint, then everybody can edit that document together. So that can be a very, very handy thing. So I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions about uploading documents or working with multiple documents or anything like that? All right, you guys are quiet this morning. So another little thing that you can do here is be able to expand the tab, and all that does is get rid of the Teams name interface over here. Some people may like that, especially if you're working on a smaller laptop. It gives you a little bit more screen area in which to work. It also makes, if you've got Excel or PowerPoint or a Word document open, it also makes that a little bit larger, so because you don't have the stuff over there on the left-hand side to worry with. I prefer, again, we have fairly decent sized monitors, to leave this over on the left-hand side so I can continue to work with it. So the next thing I want to cover, and this is honestly our last topic for today, is how you search for files. So if I look for the word test, we covered search a little bit with chat before, because you could see here's all of our chat stuff. We covered the chat filters while we were there. But if I go to the files tab there within search, I have a different set of filters. So if I find what I need, I don't need to bother with the filters. But the search searches across every team of which you are a member. So you can see it's going to continue to add search results as I scroll. And just using the word test is going to come up with a lot of things. And this all team members, this is all team members. A lot of this stuff comes from institutional effectiveness. And then there are some other things that come from the IT team, etc. So let's, and then this is a test from inside the team that we have just been working with today. So if I use my filters, I can really narrow down those searches. So let's say I know that the file that I'm looking for is inside the all team member. Oh, actually, I think IT team is probably a good one for me to use. And so I just only one thing. I'm going to search for that, and there's my filter. And now it's going to show me everything that I can see inside the IT team. Here's one thing to note. If you'll notice, this is handycommands.docx. That is not the word test. So what I can tell you is the word test is inside this document. The same thing here. This is a projects by current user. This does not have the word test inside the name of the document. The word test is inside the document. It's part of the contents of the document. And so it's very important that you understand that it is searching not just the names like you might be used to, but it's searching the content of the document. So this is still a very large set of results that I'm seeing here. So let's see what else I can do. I'm going to filter by a file type. So maybe I know that what I'm looking for is a PDF. Oh goodness, there are still tons of PDFs that are out here as well. So let's see if I can do any more filters. I'm gonna see, I know maybe Mr. McMurray here in the IT office is the one that edited this document. So now I'm down to 2. And hopefully I'll be able to tell which one of those that I need. So that is how search can be used. The search filters can be used to narrow your searches. You click that X to clear it, and you go back to your full results. So searching is very, very powerful inside Microsoft Teams. I am very, very happy with it. And on a side note, entirely unrelated, just because we're talking about searching, as we upgrade everyone over the next several months to Office 365 from Office 2016, you get the Outlook 365, Word 365, and so we're upgrading those programs for you. We'll have additional training for that, but the search features inside those is also greatly improved. And I have never been a big fan of Microsoft Outlook, but since we migrated our own internal computers to Outlook 365, I've been very impressed with the search features. And they work, they actually work. Whereas previously I always had issues with trying to use search inside Microsoft Outlook unless it was a very, very basic search. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the full content that I have planned for you guys. So we talked about how Microsoft Teams and the file structures worked. We talked about how we separate everything from the storage, the presentation. As we move forward, we're going to be doing that to make sure it's easier for you guys to find things. We talked about uploading files and how we need to upload through SharePoint only if we have a very, very large number of files. And the SharePoint is the back end. And so whether we accidentally forget and we edit something in SharePoint or in Teams, it's exactly the same thing. We talked about being able to create files, create folders. You can upload any type of file into Microsoft Teams, period. And we talked about being able to change the view a little bit and move and rename and delete files, and the fact that files, when you delete in a team, they go to the recycle bin and they'll be there for at least a 30-day period, if not longer. Just get your team owner. If you don't know who the team owner is, because it's an organizational team, just contact the help desk and we can assist you with recovery for that. We talked about how to search within files. Most of it is fairly self-explanatory, but a lot of times these little buttons, like little ellipses or things, you don't know whether you should click on them. I remember when we first started using Microsoft Teams here, that was one of the things. Okay, so where is the move command? Where's that at? So hopefully this helps you see where some of those basic things are and helps you understand how useful this can be. Once again, I do want to stress, before I ask for a final round of questions, I do want to stress very strongly that if a file is put into a team, it is viewable by the entire team. So please keep that in mind. That's a very, very important piece. And don't use this as a place to put your personal documents. those documents that you don't want other team members to be able to see. And that is all I have. So what questions do you guys have for me? Is there anything you thought we were going to cover that maybe we did not cover, or anything you would like for us to add? We've got a few minutes left. And it means dead silence.
No questions for me. Thank you.
Anthony, I just might ask, and this might be something for the future too. As we go through and read all of this, you know, that's why I'm glad for the recordings, and I'm going to go through practice. We may have questions at some time in the future. Is there a place where we or others may post questions that would be beneficial to everyone? This is a lot to take in, so I'm going to go through and play with it. And I may be slower than everyone else, and everyone else may grasp everything as soon as you say it. But will there be a place for you to create that?
As far as having a location, my recommendation would be to, you know, like send a message to the help desk, and as we see those questions come in, if there's something that we see come in, you know, multiple times from folks, more than 1 or 2 times, we'll probably send out a message and say, hey, we've had this question come in a few times. It seems to be a common thing that people are going to be struggling with, so please be aware of this. Now, if anybody reads that email, obviously is a different story, but we will try to continue to share that information. You know, something we could do. That's an excellent idea, Howard. Actually, let me look at how we might be able to create a team that you guys could join on your own to be able to ask questions and things like that. So we're not using the all team members team, and it's just the folks that really want to learn or hear what the questions other people are asking. I think that might be a great place for us to see if we can create. I'll see if we can do that. Thank you for the idea, by the way. Can we do a class on the difference between reply and reply all? We are going to be covering Microsoft Outlook in February, I believe. So yes, we will be doing that. Absolutely.
Please.
Of course, Alan. We'll make sure.
Mr. Hardy, I missed last week's
session.
We'll
be putting out our training schedule probably at the end of November for January through June. So if you guys have topics you want us to cover, I know there are some things that we're going to have to cover during that time frame because of new launches of different products and things like that, you know, Office 365 training and those kinds of things. But if there's anything you guys would like for us to cover, please just let me know and we'll see if we can get it added. We're going to try to continually increase the amount of training that we have available to faculty and staff.
Can you hear me, Anthony?
All right, with that, I will end the recording. And as before, you guys will be able